Hello, I'm Johnny Rowland, your host of the Shootin' Show, and welcome to today's program. We're so glad to have you. I'll tell you what, it's such a pretty afternoon. Some of these October days here in Louisiana when we're taping this are just, I tell you what, second to none. Well, we have our Colt Sporter to start the program with today, certainly to make a statement with. You know, friends, your government in Washington has decided that you and I, as decent, standard American citizens, can no longer own a gun like this. We can't buy a new one now. The factories can't make them and sell them. The ones in circulation, yeah, we can still trade them for now. But they've decided that we can't buy this gun because something about this, since it might be a militia weapon or whatever, we're not trustworthy to have these guns. And you know, the militia one is not the National Guard. It was originally intended to be us as citizens. It is not the National Guard. So this gun here is shooting a little .22 caliber bullet, .223, in fact, a real .22 caliber bullet at about 3,150 feet per second, with not a whole heck of a lot of muzzle energy. Is suddenly they've decided this hand grip is bad. This grip down here is dangerous. This detachable magazine holds 20 rounds, or this one does. And of course they've already sawed the bayonet lug off this, but you know, having bayonet lugs on guns, I wonder how many people not were killed. I don't imagine any were killed. I wonder how many were bayoneted last year or the last 10 years in the United States. It's absolutely outrageous. Well, you know, friends, we've been saying the whole time, this is only the beginning, because you know what? If I was going to an assault, shall we say, on whatever, if I was going to be confronted by a gang, a drug gang, something like that, well, if I really wanted to have an assault or the best assault type gun, you and I can't own assault guns anyway. They're selective fire by definition. But if I wanted the most effective weapon available, well, this is a nice gun. But you know what? I believe that I would take this Remington 870 shotgun. And this one happens to be an 870 Express Magnum. But you know, friends, here is the ultimate defense weapon right here, your garden variety. This one is, of course, a pump shotgun, a 12 gauge. This is the ultimate defense type gun as far as myself and a lot of other people who study this thing are convinced. Now, this is what they're after. This and these handguns like this Colt 45, been around since 1911. You know, it's absolutely ridiculous, because these people will not rest until they take all these guns away from us. They do not want us to be able to protect ourselves. They don't want that. Hey, they got bodyguards. They have their own police force in Congress, and a lot of these elected officials, the anti-gun types, yeah, they have their own bodyguards. But they don't trust you and I. They think we don't matter. Well, guess what? We darn sure do, and we're not going to let them get away with it. We're not going to do it. They better get the message. We're not going to let them get away with it. I cannot overemphasize the election coming up, because this may be the most important election in the history of this country, because we've got to bring some of these knuckleheads home. We've got to put them back to work. Let them do whatever it is that they do. Just take them out of office. So let's put some decent people in. Well, let's begin today's program with this Remington Express 870. And in fact, this gun will put more pellets, more projectiles on target faster than about anything. We watched the submachine gun match last week, which was most entertained me. That's certainly the first submachine gun match I've ever seen. But you know, friends, those submachine guns are going prr, 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 and somebody with a shotgun would just go bang, 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 and that's it. So anyway, let's begin today's program with our double-aught buckshot, in fact. Well, tell me, friends, did you know that Remington made, or used to make, a lever action? Well, in fact, they did. This is the version, we'll put that on safe. This is the same gun, essentially, as the great Nylon 66, which a lot of us are familiar with, that Remington used to make. The little nylon stock gun. In fact, to my knowledge, this was the first, one of the first, certainly, let's say that, nylon stocked guns that was ever placed on the market, certainly one of them. Well, this was the lever action version. It loaded the same way. It loaded through a tube here. You take the tube out and insert the cartridges into the magazine well there, and it's almost the same gun. Now personally, I had forgotten about these. I remembered seeing these in the catalog, and honestly, this is the first one I've come across. I would think that they are somewhat rare because, like I said, this is the first one I remember ever handling. This belongs to one of our staff people here at the program, and I looked at it and said, you know, that's probably collectible because there's just not many of these guns around. Now you say, well, why would you want a manual action 22 rifle when the 22 automatics or semi-automatics are so reliable and so plentiful? Well, due to the nature of the 22 rimfire cartridge, occasionally you're going to get a misfire because the way the priming compound is put in the rim of the cartridge, occasionally you'll hit a spot where the priming compound is a little bit thin, and you can have misfires. Any 22, I don't care what it is. Well, the advantage with any sort of manually operated 22 is that you can simply eject that cartridge, and if you're squirrel hunting or something like that, you don't have time to take the gun down and fiddle with it and try and get the hull out. Forget that. Just simply lever another cartridge into the action and shoot. This would, to me, would be one of the better survival type guns, and I say survival, a gun to keep in your vehicle if you were on a camping trip or were going out in a remote area, certainly. And let me tell you what, if you're a small game hunter, or for that matter, if you have snakes or whatever else around a campsite that you need to nail right quick, well, this would be an additional measure of reliability for the 22. Now, Remington, of course, still makes their pump action 22, which is a very fine little gun. And, of course, there are a number of other lever actions. Winchester makes a very nice lever action 22 long rifle. But we thought we'd show you this. The gun shoots about like these guns were not, you know, they're not target grade accurate, but they are certainly accurate enough for small game hunting. And if you worked one, found the particular cartridge that the gun really did like, it might surprise you. The single thing, the most difficult thing, is these guns are very lightweight. So you have to keep, if you leave it real hard, it can throw your sights off. So what you have to do, you just have to keep it pressed tightly against your shoulder. And let's see if we've got a fresh one in there. Okay. All right, there we go. Put another one in it. Keep it tightly against your shoulder so you can. So you can shoot it pretty fast like that. It's not, it is certainly a rapid fire system. Just keep it tightly against your shoulder, keep it braced, so when you do work the lever, you're not going to throw your sights off. Now, of course, the semi-automatics are going to be faster, yes. In fact, we'll put one in there and give it a try. Now, of course, they're faster, but you do have the added advantage of the reliability of the manually operated action. And really, you know, that doesn't take long to lever that. Doesn't take long at all. Let's see if we got one there. That's the last one. Doesn't take long at all. So this is, again, a unique gun that a lot of us don't see very often, if at all. And I would think if you found one out there in a pawn shop or a gun show, any reasonable price, I'm sure that it would be well worth your money.
You know, friends, it's rare in any field of manufacture that one particular company has a clear-cut advantage over the others. Well, in this case, it's Corbin Ammunition, Corbin Bullet Company, because they make the best handgun, long gun, and even some specialty caliber ammunition that's been real hard to get in the past. If you really want your handgun or rifle to perform at their absolute best, you need to find some Corbin ammunition. For information on where you can get Corbin, information on their product line, call them. Corbin Bullet Company, 1-800-626-7266. Again, give them a call. It's a free call, 1-800-626-7266. Trust me on this one. Corbin is the best there is.
Now, friends, today we have a couple of real boomers, if you know what I mean. We have one of the great Wesson 445 Super Mags here, this large revolver, and we have our AMT Automag 5 and 50 Action Express. Now, these guns look a lot different, but actually what they do is pretty similar. The 445 Super Mag, and if you'll take a look at the picture on your screen, you can see that the 445 Super Mag is on your left, a 44 Magnum in the center, and a 50 Action Express on your right. You can see they are cartridges that differ quite a bit in size. The 445 Super Mag is actually a lengthened 44 Magnum, about 3/8 of an inch longer, in fact, with the same diameter bullet. And of course, the 50 Action Express is a 50 caliber, running anywhere from a 300, 325 grain bullet at about the same velocities that the 445 Super Mag will also do with a 300 grain bullet. Now, honestly, friends, people want to know which, of course, there's been a lot of hoopla, shall we say, around the 50 Action Express, and it is a nice cartridge. It is a semi-automatic pistol cartridge. I'm not sure how good a revolver cartridge it will be, because a couple of the companies are starting to make revolvers in 50 Action Express. I'm not sure because, one, you don't have a roll crimp on the bullet, and I don't know if you would have bullet pull to worry about, don't know. But when you can have a revolver with a similar powered cartridge, it just depends on which action type you like. And we're going to compare them briefly. Now, this Wesson revolver has about a 10-inch barrel. It's also compensated. So let's put a couple of these long 445 cartridges, and really this is a very, very pleasant gun to shoot. It's really surprising how well the Wesson compensators do on their guns. But realize, again, we have cartridges of similar power. Both of them run 300 grain bullets, 13 to 1400 feet per second. Neither one of them are as powerful on paper, certainly, as the 454 Casull, but they're not that terribly far behind. There may be some advantage to the 50 caliber bullet. Simply, it's a bigger bullet. It's going to make a little bigger hole, but you're not going to have as good a trajectory with the 50 Action Express as you will, say, with a cartridge like the 445 Super Mag. Well, let's shoot some 445 ammunition. Let's take a look at it in my hands anyway. And friends, you know it went off, but let me tell you what, it was not punishing. That compensator really does work. Now, that's pretty fast firing for a cartridge of this power, but the gun really is very controllable, as you could tell. And I honestly, some people are going to carry this as say a trail gun in Alaska, because I always think about, well, what if something like a grizzly bear or something got after me, or a mountain lion or whatever. You darn sure want the thing to be reliable. You want it to have all kinds of power, and you want to be able to shoot it fast and accurately. So let's try something similar. We'll load up our, incidentally, you can use the 44 Magnum speed loaders. Actually, you can, this is it's a little much for a combat type gun, except against a large animal, but believe me, and that is a good feature. You can use your regular old 44 Magnum speed loaders for this particular Wesson revolver.
Friends, you can communicate with the Shootin' Show on CompuServe now. Our number is 735-42-3024. Again, 735-42-3024. And to join our Shootin' Show Gun Club, call us at 1-800-895-7916. We take Visa, MasterCard, check, money order, whatever you got. Join today, friends. We need to reach as many people as we can.
Well, of course, the 50 Action Express is a relatively new cartridge, and a lot of us are learning just what loads these guns take. Now bear in mind, any semi-automatic has to be compatible with the bullet profile, and the semi-automatics are just going to be more temperamental, and I like semi-automatics. I carry one part of the time, certainly, but they're going to be more temperamental. They are absolutely critical about some bullet types that they will feed. You just have to take your gun out and get used to it and try it and see what it likes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The Automag 5 is also a 6-shot gun. Now, of course, you can load another magazine real quick, but let's see it in action. So, in fact, we had 5 in the magazine. Recoil is compared to some other 50 Action Express guns we've shot, and this gun is just not that bad. It's sort of like apples and oranges, but you still get fruit for lunch there. You still get the same effective power, but it's a totally different approach. I'll tell you what let's do. Let's try, it's going to be hard to judge just what these particular guns will do, but let's put them in a situation where we have to shoot fast and rapidly. Let's try that. And incidentally, of course, we've had pretty good accuracy with this Automag 5. It will go into 2.5 or so inches at 25 yards, somewhere in that neighborhood. Depends on which bullet type that it will like, whatever your particular gun. And yes, the next gun off the production line may like a different bullet. I mean, that's just the way it works. Be sure we're unloaded there. Yes. For longer range application, well, the revolver, especially this Western revolver, is going to outclass most of your semi-automatic pistols no matter what. These Westerns will actually shoot with a scope and a good shooter. Getting a 2-inch group or so at 100 yards is really not that unusual. You've seen us shoot these guns on the program, and really, I mean, the Westerns are some of the finest revolvers ever been made by anybody, and they will, you can hunt deer with this 445 Super Mag. You can hunt deer at 200 yards one of these guns with a scope. It's really not that big a deal because you really have the power to do it. Now this would be, if I wanted a long range application, well, this would definitely be the way I would go. It just depends if you like semi-automatics and you have shot your gun enough to know, one, that it's going to be reliable, it's going to work and not fail you when you need it most. Because if this was, say, a backup gun to a guide on a big game hunt, you've got to have, first and foremost, you've got to have reliability. And this this Automag 5 is very carryable. It's not that heavy, it's not that big a gun. Now the Western, of course, is a much bigger gun, but hey, they make long holsters too, so it just depends on what you like. One advantage the revolvers have, they don't throw these expensive cases all around. You can have your cases at your disposal and keep them real easy, and whereas on the semi-automatics, and most people that are going to own guns like this are going to be hand loaders. Certainly you need to know something about hand loading for this 445, and most people that want to invest the kind of money that these guns cost, although this is going to be quite a bit more expensive than our Western here, a couple of $100 at least, they're going to be more enthusiasts, and that's fine. That's probably the way it should be on this type of gun if you want to get the most performance out of it. Friends, what we're going to do, and this is sort of a strange test, I suppose, to the uninitiated, but one of the main reasons for having one of these very powerful, super powerful, in fact, handguns would be as a backup gun to, say, a guide or someone on a big game hunt. Let's say you were maybe fishing in Alaska or someplace like that, and you needed to be able to have a carryable gun, didn't want to carry a long gun, but you needed a handgun with all the power you could stand in case you ran up on something that you really did need to quickly take a shot at. So let's try that. We've got our Automag 5. Let's just run a little comparison between the two guns to see how they perform against each other. And hey, why not? You know, shooting is fun. We're out here having fun today. So I've got my pro timer on here. So let's take a few shots. And it's getting later on in the evening here, so you may see a little muzzle flash from both of these guns. Let's see what we've got here. Get my hearing protection in real good. And let's just see how long it takes to put 6 shots on the target from both guns. We'll go ahead and thumb cock this gun, punch our timer. Ooh. Yeah, it does have a little recoil. Yeah, one of those empties did hit me in the head. That's why we always wear shooting glasses out here. Okay, we've got about, about a 3-inch group here. Not too bad, actually. A little better than I thought it was going to be. In 1.61 seconds. Well, that's not bad performance at all. One, the semi-automatics are very nice there in rapid fire. Well, let's take this 445 Super Mag, move to the next target. 1.61 seconds. Well, heck, that's pretty good. That's faster than I thought that was going to be. All right, same drill with our 445. Go ahead, punch our timer, get in position. Well, actually, 1/10 of a second longer for the 445. But let's take a look at that group. My goodness, we have probably about 1.5 inch group there. So my group size, again, 1/10 of a second difference. Who knows? It might have been on my reaction time. 1.71. So, friends, it just, I suppose, just depends on which action type you'd like. But most impressive for this large heavyweight revolver. So again, you pays your money, you take your choice, but these are guns that are not for, shall we say, the beginner, more for someone who has a considerable amount of experience shooting heavy caliber guns. But you can see they actually shoot at about the same speed. This automatic 5 is going to be a little easier to carry, but the reliability edge is probably going to go to the revolver, simply due to the fact of the way revolvers and semi-automatics work. I do want to compliment the good folks at AMT. This is a very nice package, and this gun is really starting to perform better since we've shot it enough to kind of break it in. Remember, any semi-automatic, even one of the super powered jobs like this, need a minimum of a couple of hundred rounds through them to let the parts sort of mate to each other, let them work against each other and get used to each other. And the revolvers out of the box are going to be more reliable simply because you have a simpler mechanism. But this 445 Super Mag is a very impressive gun. Either one of these would be certainly a good choice if you need a large and powerful handgun. The compensator on this Wesson is amazingly effective. They have really done their homework on this particular gun. So, you know, the shooting show, part of the shooting show is we're real serious about so many subjects, but hey, part of the time, just come out here and have some fun, see what happens. Hello, friends. I'm out here practicing for one of the most fun hunting sports that you can imagine. You can use a variety of action types. You have access to year-round hunting, some cases no limits, and you get to use a variety of guns. Well, you know what I'm talking about is the sport of varmint hunting. And we need to introduce you folks to varmint hunting. A lot of us have been doing it for years and didn't know what to call it, but we especially need to introduce you to the Varmint Hunter magazine.
You know, friends, varmint hunting is one of the fastest growing shooting sports in the world. In fact, the Varmint Hunters Association, they have members in all 50 states and 19 foreign countries. Now, their magazine focuses on varmint hunting and super accurate reloading and shooting techniques. Plus, there's a lot of humor, a lot of interesting cartoons and humorous articles in the magazine. Incidentally, the magazine is large, it's very high quality, and something I think you're really going to enjoy reading, and it's published quarterly. It's only $24 for an associate membership in the Varmint Hunters Association. And look, for information, now you ought to do this. If you're a dedicated shooter, this is something I think you're really going to enjoy. For information on the Varmint Hunter magazine and the Varmint Hunters Association, call them at 1-800-528-4868. Again, 1-800-528-4868. Be sure and tell them you saw it on the Shooting Show. Now, friends, we're looking at two of the finest small handguns that I'm aware of. These, of course, are from American Derringer Corporation. On your left, you have the Model 1, which is available in over 50 chamberings, and on the right is their double-action Derringer, which is very similar to the old high-standard design, except it's been modernized. This particular one is in the 38 special chambering. Now, friends, sometimes it's hard to have a large handgun with you, but you can always have one of these American Derringers. Call them 1-800-642-7817. Friends, we hope you're enjoying our program so far today. I want to remind you that this Colt Sporter, again, is not an assault gun. This is a semi-automatic carbine, and some of these people are calling them assault guns, which is nothing could be further from the truth. Now, these are in trouble as far as you can't buy new ones like we talked about earlier from the factories. But it won't be long until they're after these revolvers. They're already after these shotguns, anything that goes bangs. They're even going to attempt to take away pellet guns and BB guns before it's over with. So, friends, these people have got to be stopped, and my esteemed colleague here has some information in just a few minutes. Let me remind you that we're still taking offers on our Shootin' Show serial number 1, our Shootin' Show 41 Magnum. We think very possibly the finest all-around handgun that's ever been built. And if you'd like to fax an offer on this gun, you can fax us at area 318-377-5448 if you would like to make an offer on this. Certainly we're doing this to raise money for our project so we can do other things. We can increase the size and scope of this program. So that we're still taking offers on that.
Give me that gun, Johnny.
Yes,
that
sir.
thing's going to fall and you're going to break.
Well, that's right. I would come unglued if that fell on this hard floor. Well, sir, speaking of falling, what about some of these congressmen?
Well, first let me say that I spent this last weekend at the Tulsa Gun Show. And Johnny, that's a dilly-do of a gun show. 2,700 tables. No way you can walk through that show and look at anything and see it all. You just can't do it in 2 days. We spent 2 days up there, had a wonderful time. I picked up a couple of Bausch & Lomb Balvar 8s, which were one of my favorite scopes, and I got them at a real bargain. You know, you don't find many real bargains anymore. They're scarce. But you know, we can get some real bargains. My American Rifleman came today. It's the October 20th, 1994 issue. I'm interested in the cover. It says, "Stop the Rape of Liberty." And there are a lot of articles in it. There's a particular, apparently they did this for every state so that they told you how your representatives in your state did. We got 5 out of 7 in Louisiana, which I guess is better than average. It's not as good as we'd like to have done. And they have an article on Brady 2, the ultimate loss of freedom. Have here a picture of what they want to call an arsenal. This is a semi-automatic rifle, 1 brick of 22 shells, 5 little boxes of primers, CCH plastic
22.
box of shells,
22s.
and they call this an arsenal.
Absolutely ridiculous.
And they want to charge you $300 federal arsenal fee. I don't know where the feds think they get this authority.
No, wait a minute, Judge. You were telling me something the other day. There's a reason there's no tax on newspapers. Explain that, please.
Because it interferes with freedom of the press. You can't put a sales tax on newspapers, and because it interferes with freedom of the press. And there ought not be any tax on firearms because that interferes with the right to keep and bear arms. I think all of these taxes are just as unlawful as can be.
Friends, all of us as shooting enthusiasts should be subscribing to Shotgun News, the trading post for anything that shoots. 3 big issues monthly with literally thousands and thousands of firearms bargains. Shotgun News, Post Office Box 669, Hastings, Nebraska, the zip code 68902, their phone number, area 402-463-4589, MasterCard or Visa for subscriptions only. Now call them at 1-800-345-6923.
Tanya Mataska, who's the executive director of the Institute for Legislative Action, has an article in saying, "Help me stop the rape of liberty." And she tells you what you can do. And this is important. This may be the last show that you see before the November 8th elections.
That's right.
It's possible that satellite viewers will be able to see one more. But those that are watching it on the outdoor channel probably won't see another shooting show after this one until after the election.
Until after the election, that's true. So this is really some points that need to be made here.
And she tells us things we can do. Number one, help register other voters if time allows. It's too late in Louisiana. I don't know how it is in other states. 2, get the word out about pro-gun candidates that are on the cover of this issue. And they, as I said, they did that for every state. Encourage everyone you know to cast his or her ballot. Now, you know, let's don't get into this business of it doesn't make any difference how you vote, just vote. It does make a difference how you vote, and I want you to get out there and do the job, canvass your neighbors, if necessary, convince them that the firearms owners are right, and if you can't convince them of that, then see if you can get them to go off on a vacation next week. Tell neighbors where the polling booths are, and read about important races in other places. We have a special section in here on Louisiana, which is fine because we got 5 out of 7 of those people that seem to be elected. I wish we could have gotten one more. There's an article on guns, crime, and freedom. And then they get down to the real political nitty-gritty. They list 12 people that the NRA says gotta go. Now remember last week and the week before, I talked to you about the issue of guns and ammo. Guns and ammo has a election issue out too, and they go a lot further than the NRA does. They rate everybody. The NRA is trying to concentrate on just a few people, which I think is a mistake because I think that we have a chance of really getting a wholesale turnover in the House of Representatives and in Senate. The ones that the NRA thinks really need to go are not to be elected. Representative Bob Carr in Michigan for the open Senate seat, Representative Sam Coppersmith in Arizona for an open Senate seat, Representative Alan Wheat, who is in Missouri for an open Senate seat, Representative Ronald Coleman in the Texas 16th District. They left out another one that's got to go in Texas, and that's the chairman of the House Judiciary Committee. Brooks ought to go. They didn't list him. For some reason or other, the NRA endorsed him. I don't know if they've withdrawn that endorsement or not. I demanded that they do it. Representative Don Johnson, Georgia 10th District. Representative John Bryant, Texas 5th District. Representative George Buddy Darden, Georgia 7th District. Representative Karen English, Arizona 6th District. Representative Richard Bryan in Nevada.
Senator Bryan.
Richard Bryan.
Senator.
Representative Tom Andrews in Maine, an open Senate seat. He's running for it. He's against us. And 2 governors. Governor Roy Roma in Colorado, vehemently anti-gun, and Ann Richards in Texas. Give us George Bush, please.
You know, friends, this box of Corbin ammunition and this Wesson 41 Magnum are in fact a perfect match for each other. But it doesn't matter whatever gun you may have, like this SKS or a hunting rifle or a 38 Special or a 9mm, makes no difference because Corbin is absolutely the best factory ammunition that money can buy, period. And also, friends, when you see a box of Corbin on the shelf or you give them a call, realize that Corbin is helping keep the shooting show on the air. They've been one of our most dedicated sponsors. You cannot find finer people in the entire shooting industry. For information on Corbin ammunition, call them 1-800-626-7266. Again, 1-800-626-7266. Tell them you saw it on the Shootin' Show.
Now, then they follow this up with saying, 12 we got to have. These are people we need to elect. And there's some others. Representative James Inhofe, who's running for an open Senate seat in Oklahoma. And boy, at the gun show in Tulsa, there was Inhofe support all over the place. I saw hundreds of his flyers, hundreds of his bumper stickers. I even brought one back to Louisiana. Well, I felt guilty about that because it should have stayed up there. He's running against Dave McCurdy, who voted in favor of the ban. And McCurdy, you know, is the one who nominated Bill Clinton for president. And you couldn't have found a McCurdy vote in that whole place. And there must have been at least 25,000 people that went to that gun show. And incidentally, one of the things they had at the gun show was they had Snyder, S-Y-N-A-R, who was also one of the ones that they were against, and they'd already defeated him with that 71-year-old retired school teacher. And they had him X'd out, saying, already out.
Great.
Let me tell you about Snyder. He said that when the House of Representatives voted to ban guns last May, a grinning Snyder called the NRA a group of thugs.
Hey,
Do you
friend.
feel like a thug?
That's right. He's talking about us. You and me and him and
And
us.
he said, I could not relish the moment any better. Now, thanks to NRA members and gun owners in Oklahoma, Mike Snyder has another moment to relish, his retirement. I believe the same enthusiasm is behind Representative Inhofe, who's running for the Senate. Godspeed to him. Senate candidate Oliver North in Virginia. Senate candidate Trent Locke in Mississippi. Senate candidate Connie Mack in Florida. Representative Duncan Hunter in California's 52nd District. I might add, there's another one they ought to add to that, is Kay Bailey Hutchinson in Texas, because her opponent is anti-gun. This issue is just one of the best NRA publications I've seen. Here we've got an article on Clinton's giant deception.
Well, you know, just let me give my quote of the week. You know, some people need to see the light to change what they're doing. Others need to feel the heat. And friends, in Congress, we have a situation that these people need to feel the heat of your anger. We got to get mad. We can't. You can't reason with these people. We have to get angry. We've got to do something about it.
Well, I saw a group of mad people in Tulsa, and incidentally, thanks to our publicity and our gun show, our gun program, it seems to be getting out nationwide. There were a few people that recognized me that hadn't been on this program and went up and thanked me and congratulated me, and wished us the best of everything. You can give us the best of everything. Call our advertisers. They're what enable us to stay on the air. Call our advertisers. Buy their products.
And by the way, if you would like to call us about buying an ad on the program, call us 1-800-SAVE-YOU-GUNS. That's our 800 number for advertisers. 1-800-SAVE, S-A-V-U-G-U-N-S, guns. So we certainly need everyone that we can certainly get.
Well, now remember, not only is the American Rifleman this month getting out with real information about elections, but Guns and Ammo, but also Guns and Ammo did it a few days earlier, and they have all of the candidates in every state, and they rate them A plus through F minus, and we've got a bunch of F minuses.
Let me add that the New American magazine also now has a gun report in issues, and also they have a new issue of Toward a Police State, and you can get that when you sign up for one of their subscriptions, which you'll see their ad somewhere else in the show. But they're really doing a good job.
And here's another little paper, Gun Week. Comes out every week, so it keeps you pretty current. That's published the organization behind it is the
Second Amendment
is the
Foundation.
Second Amendment Foundation. Another good group. The NRA, the Gun Owners of America, and the Second Amendment Foundation are all worthy of your support. The American Bar Association. That's the reason I won't join the American Bar Association, incidentally. Never have in 44 years of practice. ABA met in New Orleans and calls for tougher gun controls. They say that the Second Amendment only protects the state's rights to have a militia. Nonsense. Absolute nonsense. Anybody that says that is ignorant of history, and that includes my fellow lawyers and fellow judges that are in the ABA. I don't think the NRA went quite far enough. I think we should have listed more than 12 that gotta go and more than 12 that gotta have. It wouldn't have been too much to have listed 50 that gotta go and 50 that and more than 50 that we've gotta have. Kudos to all of those pro-gun representatives, senators who stood their ground against the Clinton barrage. And ladies and gentlemen, this is it. This is payback time. You either do it now, or
who knows what we'll have left next time there's any sort of opportunity.
no, I don't think there's any doubt about that. We've got a couple of George Bush's children, who incidentally are more conservative than George was. George Bush Jr. I don't know that he's a junior. George Bush running for governor in Texas against Ann Richards, who's one of the gotta-go people, and Jeb Bush, who's running for governor in Florida. And I hope he carries that state heavily, and I hope that either his coattails or Connie Mack's coattails, either one, would take them both into office. They're both good people. Really, this is payback time. We have Frisk, a Republican, running for a Senate seat against Sassa, who's a temporary incumbent. How do you like it? Temporary incumbent.
Temporary incumbent. That's in Tennessee.
Frisk is a doctor, and he's leaving a very lucrative medical practice in a highly paid specialty to go on and run for the Senate because he feels so strongly about what's happening in government. Not just guns, but guns are included. They're after Frisk because they say he only registered to vote for the first time 6 years ago. Well, I wonder how many people in this audience didn't bother to register to vote or didn't vote until relatively recently because it took that long to get them sufficiently aggravated to take some of their time to do something. I've been aggravated for so many years that I don't know. I don't think I've ever missed an election, or if I have, it's because I was out of town and I let absentee voting slip up on me. But none of the important elections, none of the important ones. Even when I was off in the service, I cast absentee ballots a couple of times against my so-called commander-in-chief. What do you have to say about that, Johnny?
Well, sir, I think you said it awfully well.
Tri-tote's real easy to use because all you have is a hook on your waist and you have another hook on a strap. Okay, so all you do is you're hanging your gun up like you would on a peg gun rack. There's never anything attached to your equipment when you use the tri-tote. Okay, you just set the gun with one hook behind the trigger guard and the other hook on the barrel. To use it, you just push in on towards your chest, pick the gun up to shoot it. Basically, you got 7 different positions anywhere you want to range the barrel of the gun by just taking it off. It's a piece of Velcro strap onto a Velcro shoulder pad. You just put the gun into it, pick it up and shoot it any way you want. It's that simple to use. A lot of people like to go out riding on their four-wheeler and their ATV or climb into their deer stand or drag their deer. You got a securing strap that just peels back. All you do is set it on the barrel of the gun, wrap the barrel up, and you have a little securing loop down here on the pod. Okay? You take that and you secure that right over the hook of the gun, so you're securing the top and the bottom. You can ride your four-wheeler, you can climb your tree stand in this manner. If you'd like to pull out your deer, you can open your waist belt up, drop your right hand down through your straps, bring your left hand back up through it. The gun immediately goes on your back. Buckle it up, take away any of that slack. You don't want that. Just readjust it. Pull it up tight on your back, and that's the most secure back carry you'll ever have. You can drag your deer out any way you want to drag your deer out. Climb your hands, use your binoculars. You're always hands-free with the tri-tote.
Now then, friends, for information or to order one of the all-season tri-totes, call them at 1-800-231-1443. MasterCard or Visa, $38.50 plus $6.50 shipping and handling. This is a special price for our Shootin' Show audience, so please identify to them that it is, you did see it on the Shootin' Show. This is an excellent piece of equipment a lot of us would like to have, friends. 1-800-231.
Hi, Johnny. How you doing today? This is Wally Clapp speaking to you from the Michaels of Oregon booth at the the Soldier of Fortune convention in Las Vegas, and I'm here with my friend Sherry Collins, who's now the PR director for the Glock Corporation. Sherry, how you doing today?
Not bad, Wiley. It's another great show.
I'm Tom Marks, and I'm Director of Law Enforcement Sales for Michael of Oregon. This is the second year that we've worked the SOF convention, and it's proven to be a very good opportunity for us to meet with not only the competitive shooters that are here for the 3-gun match, a lot of which are police department teams, but all the officers that attend this show in general.
That's true. It's a misunderstood thing, I think, that what goes on at this Soldier of Fortune thing. There's a very, very highly respected shooting match that's conducted out in the desert near here that involves a great many law enforcement personnel as well as some military and some other folks that are just gun buffs. This is not necessarily a show that promotes the image of bloody-handed mercenaries and all that sort of thing. I think you're probably going to find more cops than anything else walking around here, and a heck of a lot of ex-servicemen who served in various wars and things of that sort that the nation has gotten itself into over the past 50 years or so.
It's a consumer show, which is something not quite often attended by the major manufacturers directly, but it's a consumer show that while I'm here primarily with our police and military equipment, I brought a number of our outdoor rigs along with us because of the number of people here that are either competitive shooters or people that are carrying scoped handguns for hunting or some of the large bore guns that we make equipment for hunting and sport activities. It's a very well-rounded show and a very good one for us overall.
You know, friends, this Colt 45 or something equivalent, I think, is extremely important for self-defense. But let me tell you about another kind of defense. How about mental defense? We need to know what's going on in this country, and trust me on this one, there is no better publication to do that than the New American Magazine. It comes every 2 weeks, twice monthly, and of course they cover subjects that we need to know about. They cover all sorts of issues, from the gun issues to what's going on in Congress to all sorts of news items from all around this country and around the world for that matter. Things that are absolutely essential to us as conservative, gun-owning Americans. We need to know this. This is a tremendous bargain. It's $22 for a 6-month subscription. And I'll tell you what, friends, you'll read the New American, and you're going to get angry, you're going to get mad, but you'll also find out what you need to do. You're going to find out facts that you will not find in any other organized news media publication. But trust me on this one. These people, we know them, and if they say it, you can take it to the bank. It is, in fact, true. And that brings up their 800 number. You can get the New American by calling 1-800-727-TRUE-TRUE. And those numbers, of course, are 1-800-727-8783. The New American, $22 for a 6-month subscription. It comes twice a month Friends, you need this magazine if you want to know what's going on, and in times like this, we need both of these. We need our guns, and we darn sure need our information. Friends, what you're looking at is one of the neatest discoveries we've made in some time on the program. This is a bottle of Black Canyon black powder replacement. And one of the things you miss with this is, since it has no sulfur in it, you don't have the mess that we normally associate with black powder shooting. It's more stable than black powder. It's a little safer to store and handle. And those of us who enjoy shooting these black powder firearms, you just don't have to spend all that extra time in cleaning, because there's just not much mess at all. You need some of this if you enjoy shooting and hunting with black powder. So give them a call. Black Canyon black powder replacement. Call them 800-622-8669. Again, 1-800-622-8669. Please tell them you saw it on the Shootin' Show. Now, friends, we were down on the range. It was just about dark, but we had this interesting little comparison here, and I think you may enjoy it.
You know, friends, just for fun, since we're here, as we were talking about earlier on today's program, you know, it is now that Dianne Feinstein, who sponsored the assault gun ban, which in fact this is not an assault gun, this Colt Sporter is just a semi-automatic rifle shooting a 22 caliber bullet, 223 Remington that is, which is in fact a true 22 caliber bullet. Well, the problem is, as we said earlier, it's these sorts of guns, what you use for rabbit hunting or duck hunting. They want everything that goes bang away from us. Let's make a point. We have some double-aught buckshot in this particular gun, and we're going to call it, it has 12 pellets of double-aught buck in these particular shells. Well, let's put 5 rounds from our semi-automatic as fast as possible on each target, total of 10 shots with this gun. Then let's put a round apiece with our double-aught buck, which I'll tell you what, friends, those of you who've actually shot game animals with the 223, it's really a varmint cartridge. Now, some people like it as a military cartridge, and that's fine. They're certainly good for their intended purpose. But these guns are just not at all what is made out to be by the organized media and the anti-gun crowd. Let's do that just for fun since we're here. Load our gun. Punch our pro timer. We're going to put 5 shots each as fast as I can pull the trigger on these 2 targets. We'll wait for the timer to start me. And we're on fire. Okay, pretty good groups. 2.11 seconds. We'll go ahead and unload our gun. And believe me, that's as fast as I can pull the trigger today. But you see, for home defense, if you're worried, say, well, I didn't get my semi-automatic and I'm going to be paying exorbitant prices, well, yes, prices are going up dramatically on these guns. There's a lot of them out there. They're going to be for sale available. Some in the pipeline, and a lot of individuals, because prices are going out of sight. But I do want to compliment the good folks at Remington on this Express shotgun. The first Express guns I saw from them were a little bit rough, but this particular one, I think the later models here, and I think most of them function real well. This gun is very smooth. You have a vent rib. You also have an interchangeable choke tube in the barrel there. And of course, whatever barrel fits a standard 870 will also fit the Express here. So you can get barrels with rifle sights, rifle choke tubes if you want it. And the shotgun is probably the single most complete gun. I've said that before on the program, because literally it will do everything. It's great for home defense. If you have a shotgun in your home and you live, say, in an apartment or a mobile home, something without walls very thick, and you had to use the gun in self-defense, well, you can shoot birdshot. Up close and personal birdshot is about as effective as anything you could want. Very close, but you get out a few yards and you're not going to shoot through walls and injure somebody next door. And you know, it's terrible we even have to talk about defending ourselves, but hey, that's the way life is. That's the way our society has become. More and more of us are unfortunately going to be put in defensive situations, it appears. Anyway, let's take our double-aught buck, 2.11 seconds for 10 shots. 2 targets, 5 rounds on each target. Well, let's see what we can do with our shotgun. Well, 2 shots, 65 hundredths of a second. Bigger hole, trust me, quite a bit bigger hole. In fact, we shot out our 223 targets there. So friends, for effectiveness, we put 24, essentially 30 caliber, I believe the double aughts are about 30 caliber in diameter. 24 extremely effective pellets downrange on the target in 2 shots, 65 hundredths of a second, whereas with our semi-automatic carbine, we're able to put 5 shots on each target there as fast as I could pull the trigger in over 2 seconds. So, you know, in the combat courses, police are often taught, if you're facing 3 people, if you're facing, for a policeman, if he's facing 3 people, one armed with a handgun, one armed with even a submachine gun or machine gun, or a true assault gun, or a 12-gauge shotgun, most of the trainers, certainly the ones I've had in the past, will say the shotgun is the one to be worried about because that's the most dangerous weapon to you. So, friends, I tell you what, it won't be long till, of course, Brady 2 is already in the works, and believe me, they want everything that goes bang. But for now, actually, the single best all-around gun, the single best home defense gun, is still available out there with an extended magazine too. Of course, they're already talking about eliminating those, but this gun will hold 4 in the magazine, 1 in the chamber for a total of 5. And trust me on this one, if you're defending your home, those 5 shots even will do about anything you need to have done, believe me.
You know, friends, our Shootin' Show Gun Club is so important to this program. It does a number of things. One, it helps us reach more people. It helps us stay on the air. It's very expensive doing what we do here. We appreciate everyone who's joined, and if you can today, we need you in the Shootin' Show Gun Club. Well, friends, it's happened again. We've run out of time for today's program. From Kurt, the judge, myself, we want to thank everyone for being with us for today's program, and we look forward to seeing you on the next Shootin' Show.